Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Becoming a Theseus. There's been a rumor going on for a long time now about people finding some type of horse file in the game, and um, what you just heard, that's going to be my take on it. I heard that playing online like in the first part of the month, and that was the
And
first and
that's actually the first and only time that I've ever heard that. I was actually really surprised to hear it. I like jumped out of my seat. I was like, "Wait, what was that?" Because I know, especially when I first got the game, I spent a lot of time running around looking for a horse. I thought there's got to be a horse in the game. There's all these animals, but obviously I figured out that there are no horses in the game, and that's just my opinion. I think it's just that audio file. I wish we knew more about what type of file that it was that people have found in the game. If it was an audio file, or was it a model file, or a texture file. I just wish we knew more about it. But I think that's all it is for now. Of course, I mean, I really hope that they do eventually add horses in the game. That would be so awesome. Um, you know, like many other people, I've thought about that for a long time. How cool it would be to have a horse in GTA and in the story mode and online. But anyway, thanks for coming back to part two, where I left off last time. I was talking about Theseus making his venture to Athena, and along the way, he encountered six different barbarians, and uh, the way that he handled, or the way that he killed each of these barbarians, was with a sense of karma. He would kill them in the same manner that they had killed or persecuted other people. Um, Now, the first one that he comes across, his name is Periphetes, and um, I've tried to look up as much as I can about Periphetes. I haven't found as much as I would like, but I have found some very interesting things, and I'm going to show them to you right now, and hopefully you'll find some very interesting things in this, like I have. Now, the deal with Periphetes, or Periphetus, or however you want to say his name, is he was called the club bearer, and the way that he tortured people was when they would walk along the path, he would be waiting for them, and he had a, well, like I said, there's different versions of this, but he had a club that was made of bronze. Others say it was made of iron. Others say that it was a wooden club wrapped in bronze or iron. But either way, if you've watched any of Wispy's videos, you already understand the significance of bronze or iron and the meaning behind that. Anyway, Theseus tricked Periphetes into letting him check out his club to make sure that it was made of real bronze or brass. He let him have the club, and whenever Theseus had it in his hand, he hit Periphetes over the head with it, killing him. Now, I find some interesting features with Periphetes that a lot of these features I've seen kind of thrown around into the mystery when looking at it before, and seeing what other people have to say with the mystery and what they found in the game. I've seen a lot of these features thrown around, and I thought it was really interesting when I came across his page that he had some of these, and some of those include that he was lame in one leg, um, which, if I were going to try to compare him to a character in the game, I would either liken him to Trevor, but I've also thought about Lester with him being lame in one leg and having a club or a cane in the place of a club. And also his other feature is having one eye like a cyclops.
I don't know if that could relate to Lester's vision in any way. But another thing about the one eye, um, is there any relation with that in the mystery with the eye or see the eye? Is it talking about the eye as in one eye? I know when I used to get on the Mount Chiliad Reddit pages, I would see a lot of people having theories about a one-eyed person. Um, and I mentioned the Beatles in my last video, and there's also a connection to the Beatles with one eye and Paul McCartney, the real Paul McCartney. Um, but I'm still just trying to check up on this, find out what I can and how it might connect. There may not be any connection. I guess like with all of our different opinions, we're all on our different paths, and we just have to see each one to the end so that we know what we need to hang on to and what we should discard. We just have to prove all these things and kind of put them in the fire and purify all of this information so that we know what we should be using in this mystery. And I'm so glad to see so many more people working on this thing. But like a lot of us have talked about, we all have our different theories and our different ideas, and we do different research and see things in a different way, and that's a good thing because if we can use that in the right way, in a positive way, and discard our differences and our different opinions, if we can just take all the useful information and put those things together and work with one another, we're going to figure this thing out. So I'm glad to see a lot of the different opinions, and I'm glad to see a lot of different people researching the same thing and finding different things about it or having different perspectives on it. That just gives us more opportunities to crack this mystery. Um, Now, again, going back to comparing these characters to characters in the game, I'm leaning more towards Michael being Theseus, if this does have any type of connection. That's just my perspective on this for now. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and skip the rest of the barbarians that he deals with, and I'm going to jump into the Minotaur when Theseus faces the Minotaur and what happens with that story in the labyrinth. Now, I thought it was cool the herbalist was talking about Daedalus and Icarus because I'd been looking at some of this and I watched that video and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Now, Daedalus was a great architect, and he was the creator of the labyrinth. He was the one that made it, and was the father of Icarus. Now, Daedalus gave some advice to Theseus, and one of the things that he told him about the labyrinth when he was going to fight the Minotaur, he told him to go forwards, always down, and never left or right. Now, I know some of you have already got your wheels turning. That sounds very much like the graffiti we find that says some look left, some look right. The answer is right in front of us. That's just a really cool coincidence. And there's also another really good sign you find here at the hobo camp. Um, and it's really interesting, and it's kind of hard to make out, but it's got a lot of stuff on it. It says, "Never doubt a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And that's written in red letters. And then in blue, it's a lot easier to make out. It says, "Another world is possible." Now, are they trying to tell us that we can unlock a totally different world in GTA 5? And then something else that's kind of weird at the bottom, there's a little sign that says save in home. Now, is that referring to GTA, you always save your game at your safe house. Does that have anything to do with this? I'm not sure, but this is, I feel like there's a lot of stuff here. This is really interesting to me, this little sign. And there is another side to this game. Now, getting back to Theseus in the labyrinth, Daedalus also gave some advice to someone else, and her name was Ariadne. And Daedalus told her to give Theseus a ball of string, in which he used to find his way in and out of the maze.
Now, I haven't found any correlation to this to the game or the mystery yet, but something else that's interesting is that this ball of string is called a clue, or the name for it is a clue, CLEW. Maybe there we'll find something with that later in our search. Before I end the video, I want to, yeah, I want to do that. Uh, Before I end the video, I want to switch over to something I talked about in the last video, which is The Shining, because I feel like Rockstar is influenced by Stanley Kubrick, just the way I feel they're influenced by his methods of inserting clues into his work. Now, in the movie The Shining, there's a part where Danny and Jack are in the maze, and Danny is playing the role of Theseus. Throughout the entire movie, Danny is observing and learning things from his surroundings, and towards the end of the movie, he backtracks his steps in the maze, or he covers up his footsteps in the maze to throw his father off track. And his father is Jack is representing the Minotaur in this situation. But something else I find very strange is how he kind of reminds me of Trevor. They look very similar. Their personalities are a lot alike, and I just see a similarity between them both being they're both kind of psychotic with a bit of wit and humor. Some of the other things in the movie that stand out are some of the props or weapons. Wendy uses a bat to bash Jack in the head while she's backing up the stairs. There's also an axe referenced several times and used several times. There's one here, a tiny little axe in this cup right here. So there's several. This axe is referenced a lot of times in the movie. You see it with when Danny has the vision with the twin girls, and then Jack ultimately uses it to terrorize his family at the end of the movie. So I'll probably get more into this in another video, as well as the Beatles clues that I was talking about. There's just so much to cover. I'm just gonna have to take some more time to put all of that together. But I mostly want to look at the methods of these clues, and I just feel like Rockstar is influenced so much by these different methods, and I think it's important to look at that and use any help that we can from actual artists that have done this, and how we can see how it's been done. I think it'll really help us out a lot with this mystery. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video, but before I go, I've got one last thing for Wispy. Man, I was looking up something. I wasn't even trying to find this, but I saw this photo of Pegasus in Tivoli, Italy. Now, I know that there's the Tivoli Cinema in the game that Michael can purchase, and you can go watch movies there, but it makes me wonder if there's anything for us to find in the city of Tivoli, Italy, or anything we need to figure out about this. That's something else that we'll just have to get into, but I thought you might find this interesting. Pretty cool statue. Looks very similar to the ones we've seen that you've shown us a lot before, and very similar to the logo that's in the game. But anyway, that's it for now. Keep up the good hunt, and I'll see you on the other side. Yeah.